Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing great because we've got a very interesting topic to talk about today. Because as I'm sure you all know, Borderlands 4's launch has not exactly been going smoothly. And I mean that quite literally in that the game does not run smoothly. The game seems to be a pretty big success in terms of a lot of people are buying it, but it's an absolute garbage stuttery mess that basically requires you to use either DLSS or frame generation to make it run well. Even on the highest end rig possible, like I'm talking people with 5090s and 9800 X3Ds trying to run the game at native resolutions aren't getting very good results, which is absolutely unacceptable, but unfortunately not completely unexpected. The game is using Unreal Engine 5 and its gearbox. These are the same people who somehow managed to ruin a DLC for Risk of Rain 2. I feel like it takes more talent to screw up such an amazing game that badly than to make it better, but what do I know? Maybe they're just talented in ways beyond my understanding. Anyway, that's not the point. I'm sure you all know the CEO of Gearbox, Randy Pitchford. He has made himself very known over the last several months because he has plastered himself all over the marketing and the hype for Borderlands 4. He was unbelievably confident in this game, and Randy has been known to say things that he really shouldn't. You know how a lot of big dramas today could just be solved if people didn't speak? Randy is the embodiment of that idea because if you remember, a few months ago during the whole Mario Kart World $80 fiasco, when people were starting to get concerned about the price of Borderlands 4, Randy said that real fans would find a way to make it happen. Obviously a complete PR nightmare, which thankfully later they decided to release the game at $70, which again is still too much, but at least they avoided the $80 disaster. And now that Borderlands 4 is receiving tons of flack for its god-awful performance, Randy decided to take to Twitter and post a mega thread basically blaming PC gamers for why this game is being received so poorly. So that's what we're gonna look at today. Some good old-fashioned, well, I say old-fashioned, but really I don't think I've ever done this before, some good old CEO salt. But before we do that, really quick, I'm not gonna lie guys, this new YouTube algorithm garbage has been absolutely kicking me in the nuts. So if you could do me a favor and just like the video to help a brother out, and if you keep coming back and you haven't subbed yet, be sure to sub. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, this is a very long thread, so I don't know if we're gonna look at all of it. We're just gonna look at whatever I can comment on. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? Every PC gamer must accept the reality of the relationship between their hardware and what the software they are running is doing. And ignoring that absolutely beautiful ratio on the bottom of the screen, this got community noted, saying the main contention PC gamers have is that the game is poorly optimized. A recent video by Digital Foundry will explain. Possessing the latest hardware does mitigate the poor optimization to a great degree, but it doesn't erase the fact that it is poorly optimized. Exactly, thank you, classic community note W. Randy, I accept that there is a relationship between my hardware and the software I'm running. However, when I have a 5080 and I am still getting performance issues, I think the issue is a software side issue. Something tells me my 5080 and my 7800 X3D are not the problems. But anyway, let's continue on and see what else he has to say. We have made an amazing and fun and huge looter shooter campaign game. The game is pretty damn optimal, which means that the software is doing what we want without wasteful cycles on bad processes.
Are you sure?
So, Randy, you say the software isn't wasting resources on bad processes. So, in my eyes, what you've just done is admitted that the game is not wasting any resources on unnecessary processes. It's only doing what it needs to, and it still runs this terribly. Plus, I have to call absolute cap when I have seen way better looking games run way better. Call of Duty, Helldivers 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, Elden Ring, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Ghost of Tsushima, like God of War, and I could keep going on. Look, I understand you probably have some contract with Epic, which means you can't blame Unreal Engine 5 for the issues, but you know what, Randy, I'll make you a deal. Blink twice if you need help. Blink twice if you know UE5 is the issue, but Epic won't let you say that out loud. I really don't understand why this game couldn't have been made on Unreal Engine 4. It doesn't even look good enough to justify using UE5. Like, what is the point of using UE5 if your game is just going to be cel-shaded? I'm sure there's an actual reason, and something tells me that reason has to do with Epic funding the game, but whatever, I digress. Let's continue. With Borderlands 4, every PC gamer has a lot of tools to balance their preferences between FPS, resolution, and rendering features. If you aren't happy with the balance between these things you are experiencing, please tune your preferences using the tools available to you. Now, see, Randy, this is completely fine for mid to low end systems. The problem is, and you're completely ignoring this, that even the highest end rigs are struggling with this game when they really shouldn't be. A 5090 should not have to use DLSS and fake frames to get a good frame rate. I don't care how good your game looks or how much is going on or whatever. Top end hardware shouldn't need AI to help the game run well. Part of the reason, and this is a smaller reason, but one of the reasons I'm on PC is because I hate dynamic resolutions. I hate having to use upscalers. That's why I have such high-end hardware. I value getting, you know, a real resolution and not an upscaled one. How about this, Randy? You say PC gamers have the tools available to them to make the game run better. Why don't you use the tools that you have available to make the game run better? If I buy a game, I expect it to run well on my high-end hardware. If it doesn't, that is your fault. Anyway, what do we have next? For a campaign looter shooter, it is absolutely reasonable for the developers to focus on default settings achieving 30 FPS on minimum specification and 60 FPS on recommended specifications. See, Randy, the problem is the device specifications are absolutely ridiculous. A 3080 being the recommended card is insane. A 3080 should be getting far more than 60 FPS. By the way, have I mentioned yet that a 5090 running 1080p on this game is getting about 80 FPS? If a 5090 is barely hitting 90 FPS while running at what is basically considered the bare minimum standard resolution nowadays, I don't think I would call that reasonable. Alright, what next? It is a mistake to believe or expect that PCs between minimum specification and recommended can achieve all of the extremely high frame rate, maximum ultra features, and extremely high resolution. You know what? I'm just gonna let this Dr. House meme ask the question for me.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Huh?
Randy, Randolph, whatever you want to be called. Nobody, and I do mean nobody, is expecting to be able to run the game at 4K max settings at a high frame rate on a device that is lower than the recommended specs. People are expecting to be able to do that on high-end hardware, and they can't. Obviously, when your hardware is weaker, you're gonna have to turn down settings to get those higher frame rates, or have the higher settings, but you're gonna get a much lower frame rate, or run the game at a lower resolution or something like that. The problem is that every computer is struggling. It's not just the low ends. If the low-end PCs are struggling, then that's to be expected. But high-end cards are even struggling at low resolutions. What do you have to say about that, Randy? If you tell me to turn on DLSS when the game is being run at 1080p on a 5090, I will be at your house and I will fart in your pillowcase. There's no way he isn't trolling. He has to be gaslighting everybody. There is no possible way the CEO of a company could be this stupid. Oh, and just wait, it gets worse. If that last post makes you have a negative reaction, I bet you have emotions and expectations that you feel aren't sufficiently attended to. I'm sorry. Bro straight up just said, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you're so emotional and your expectations are too high for me. Does Gearbox not have a PR department? Or is Randy's ego so big he just thinks he can tweet out anything and it's gonna go well for him? I remember I saw, and I can't find the tweet anymore, but somebody replied to one of the tweets in this thread and said, Randy, look, even I like the game, but you've gotta stop posting. Every time this dude opens his mouth, or I guess turns on his keyboard. He makes things worse for himself. The Gearbox PR department probably ducks for cover every time they see a new tweet from Randy. Alrighty, what's up next? There are a few real issues, but they are affecting a very, very small percentage of users. We are fixing those, and many are already fixed. Oh, a very, very small percentage of users. You say, oh, well, how about we just go to the Steam reviews real quick? And oh, look at that. You only have 65% positive reviews, and basically every single negative review is complaining about performance. And a lot of those people are on higher end systems. I don't think I'd consider 35% a very, very small percentage of users. But who knows? Maybe I missed something. Maybe 35 is small now. Or maybe Randy is a size doesn't matter guy. Maybe that's why Randy is okay with really small frames. I mean, as we all know, frames are just a number. Don't read too deep into that. I know I'm a YouTuber, but I am not convicted of anything yet. I have to wait until I hit 100k subs, and then I have to do something that ruins my career. Alrighty, skipping ahead a tweet. We are also doing significant work on PC performance and, well, everything else that is coming at us. We're not stopping. Wait. Hold it right there, Mr. Pitchford. I could have sworn you just said that the game was running optimally and that you had to make trade-offs in order to get a higher frame rate. But now all of a sudden you say you're working on these issues. So which one is it, buddy? Are there issues or are there not? I thought the game was running optimally. I thought people had to make trade-offs. I thought we shouldn't expect the game to run well and that it's our fault. Just upgrade your PC, idiot. Randy, if these issues were really consumer side, you wouldn't have to fix anything. Not to mention, you guys deliberately did not send a review code of the game to Digital Foundry. You know, the people who test performance. It's almost like you knew the game was running terribly and that it wasn't acceptable, and you were just hoping by not giving it to Digital Foundry early that maybe people somehow wouldn't notice. Unfortunately for you, Randy, the average person online has a double-digit IQ, not a single-digit. And despite what people have said over the years, the human eye can absolutely see above 30 FPS. Maybe instead of trying to hide the bad performance and just hope that people would accept it, you could, I don't know, wait until the game runs well and then release it? I guess I'm expecting too much though. Alrighty, next up. If you have feelings about PC performance, my advice is to not wait and to make the trade-offs to prioritize what is important to you. Well, you know what, Randy? You're right. I won't be waiting because waiting implies that I will buy the game at some point in the future, which I won't. I just will not be purchasing the game at all. Congratulations, you blew your shot. And by the way, Randy, not waiting is what got you into this situation in the first place. You could have waited for your game to be finished, but you decided, nope, we need the money now. Why try to earn the goodwill of the customers back after all the PR disasters we've had recently? Let's just make it even worse. I don't understand what goes through this dude's mind when he makes these tweets. Probably nothing. Alrighty, last tweet in the thread that I want to cover. Use DLSS. It's great. The game was built to take advantage of it. This is not a competitive FPS, and I have been led to believe that in a blind test that humans cannot detect any input lag. In my own demonstrates and experiments, I believe this is true. Randy, I shouldn't have to use DLSS. I don't care if this is not a competitive FPS. Every game feels worse with input lag. And besides, DLSS is great to have as an option if you want to use it, but I shouldn't have to get above 80 FPS. And this tweet really does prove that people like Randy just see DLSS and frame generation as an excuse to not optimize their games. Like, hey, we can just have the AI run the game better for us. We don't actually have to put in effort into making the game run well natively, which is absolutely not true, and you should still definitely be putting in that effort. But I guess why do that when you can do the bare minimum and still get over 200,000 players day one? It really is a shame as well, because from my understanding, Borderlands 4 is actually pretty damn good aside from the performance issues. So if they had just smoothed all that out, they could have had an amazing launch way better than Borderlands 3 that would have been looked at fondly. But nope, they cut corners and now they're reaping the consequences. It's a shame, man, and you know, as much as I hate people having to go in and patch the game later. That's the only option at this point, so hopefully they can just fix it, despite Randy saying that the game is optimized. But yeah, anyway, guys, with all that being said, that is all I've got for this video. And before I go, just let me know, is Borderlands 4 actually good despite the performance issues? I'm not gonna play it, but I am genuinely interested to know. So yeah, anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more. Join us every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on the gaming channel for gaming streams. And consider becoming a member if you want Discord access and awesome emotes. And I will catch you all next time.